Hey, I want to show you all a really simple photography backup system. Now, this is actually apart from a workshop I did. I just cut a little section out so you can see it because I want you all to have this information because I've had so many DMs recently about people who've lost their work. Watch this, copy it. It is simple, it is cheap and effective, and it will just save you any pain. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Let's talk about backing up. This is the one thing that I get the most torturous emails about or horrific emails about because you only hear about it when it's gone catastrophically wrong, and it does. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to give you a very basic backup system to get running with. This is something you should prioritize buying over new lenses, new cameras, new lights, whatever it may be. This should be the thing you prioritize. If you don't do this, your work doesn't really exist. Now, there's an old IT saying that something has to exist in 3 places digitally before it exists. And I actually go a little bit further than that with my own work, which we'll go into at the end of this. But, well, really, we'll go into it throughout the workshop. You've probably seen a lot of it. But what I'm going to give you here is something you can easily and reasonably affordably, is affordably a word? Yes, I think so, get into. So, let's make some broad sweeping assumptions. Let's assume you shoot tethered, because who uses memory cards anymore? And you're shooting tethered into your laptop, which is your sole computer. Maybe you're shooting tethered at home to a desktop, but the same thing. There is a hard drive in that computer. That hard drive is your workbench. That is where you're doing the work. That is where work is happening. That is not where we store files. That is where you work on things. Okay, so we're going to shoot our image into that. And that is the hub for all things beginning. We then need 2 other things, and they are hard drives. 2 of them, identical. These are different colors, they're nearby. 1 terabyte, 2 terabytes, something like that. You're going to be constantly buying these throughout your lifetime. Grab a couple of these. Now, one of these you're going to have plugged into your laptop whilst you're shooting, and using a bit of software like ChronoSync, there'll be a link to how you can get that. It will automatically back up your work as it's going along. Very good. Bit risky, very good. Then when you finish shooting, you'll unplug your camera from your other USB ports. If you're on a Mac, you're quite limited to ports, and you'll get your other drive. You will not automatically back this one up. You will copy from your desktop and paste onto here. Not drag and drop, copy and paste. This then goes away. You then continue to work on your images with the auto backup setup, so it's constantly updating this and backing up your work as you go along. And once you've finished and you've delivered, you will delete that work off your desktop. And you've got the original copy here and your worked on copy here. You will also have a bit of software called Backblaze, which will take this, and the computer in the middle, which is now my head, and back them up to a cloud. It's a little bit tricky sounding, but once you get into the flow of it, it's not too bad. Now, the next step up from that is perhaps when you get a lot of images and you need some sort of storage device to keep them all on your final images perhaps. And that's where I have my working drive, which is a catalog, which you'll see at the end of this video, where I keep my portfolio work. And that also auto backs up to my system in a very complicated way, but it makes sense to me. And this is one of the important things. It has to make sense to you, because if you do not understand your backup protocol, you will mess it up. I've tried to follow very specific techie protocols in the past and I've balls it up. So what I do now is something which makes sense to me. But with this simple setup, you've got copy 1, copy 2, and copy 3 is on the cloud. And your computer is just a place to work. So if you run out of hard drive space on it, you can delete anything on there, safe in the knowledge that it's already backed up elsewhere and nothing bad can happen to it. So this is just very simple. Now, moving on from that, there's other things you can get. You could start to buy RAID drives. Now, sometimes on shoots, we use a RAID drive, which is basically 2 hard drives stuck together in the same enclosure. And they use some special software where they mirror the work, and it can be more than 2, it can be many. You can even have 1 drive split between 4. And if one of the drives fails, it can make up the missing information like magic and recreate it. It's expensive, especially when you produce as much content as I do, but for big projects, we'll often take a small RAID drive along with us and have 2 of those running, and the RAIDs will raid each other, which is weird, or something along those lines. We use a digital tech for that, and I'm sure Sophie will have some good information on it, but you know, you can upgrade to that, and then you can get something like a NAS system, which is a network attached storage, which is where most of the people who have issues get in touch with me, because they were using the NAS as a backup. The NAS is not a backup, it is just a single point. If all of your work is stored in your NAS and your NAS goes down, you've lost all of your work. If one drive goes down, you can perhaps get it back in the same way with a RAID drive. I mean, this is very sweeping broad brushes here, but it's not the same as having multiple copies. So that needs to be understood. Anyway, let's go back to the more interesting stuff. So hopefully before this bit here, you've watched my backing up section. You should have done. If you haven't, you've been naughty and you've skipped the fun bits. But this is more backing up, but also file management. And this is where Lightroom is king. And this is where I get annoyed because I have to pay for Lightroom, for Capture One. And I end up paying then with Backblaze and all the machines and the Chrono Sync. We're over £100 a month just on software, which I find a bit jarring when you look at it as $1,200 a year. And I've been paying that for 10 years. And it suddenly becomes a lot of money. It's a lot. It's a necessity, but it's a lot. But yes, my backup system works as I've explained already, where we have the main computer which I tether into with a duplication, and then we have my main setup which uses the simple backing up setup which I've shown you all, and then I have one more step, and this is my extra step. I say that I also have an offsite backup. I'm a bit paranoid, but this is my main extra step, which I think you should also follow. I have another hard drive. It's called my working drive, and it's a small SSD, and it auto backs up to drive 23, and when drive 23 is full, it will back up to drive 24, so on and so forth. And within here is a portfolio. Now, this one was last created on the 3rd of August. It's a bit out of date, but that's good because I can't show you my most up-to-date one. But here, within this, we have a Lightroom catalog, and then we also have the files all stored within it within a subfolder. Now, what we're going to do here, I actually have some work that I have to do. It is 7:20 on Monday. This work is due tomorrow. I'm not in tomorrow because I'm doing some gardening. But I need to deliver some images. If we just go to library here, what I've got down the side, I've got my print portfolio, which is very out of date. Portfolio 2 web, portfolio 2 print, portfolio 1 print. I don't have a web version of this anymore because I stopped using it. And then this here is just some stuff which is currently being worked on. And actually this one here, this is my lovely girlfriend. This is in our kitchen before we redecorated it. I can actually remove this. I don't need this. So let's just remove that from there. Remove, please. And within here, these files need to be moved. So this is just a bit of a insight into the madness. They live in print 1, move. Now I actually know that within the September version of this folder, they are in the right place. And then this can also be removed. Remove, please. There we go. So this is print 1. This is my main style of work at the time of creating this. I don't think there's anything here you can't see. No, we're all good. And then this has got working files in it of things that I am currently working on. And then once a month, what I do is I select everything which is in my actual portfolio and I create a new catalog. And just to show you, say I wanted this image, and this, and this, and these were the only ones that belonged within my new portfolio. I'd go File, Export as Catalog, and then I'd call it September 20th, and I'd keep all the stuff in there, so you get all the subfolders, and I'd export that as my new one. But at the moment, these images here are still being worked on because we came across some weird bug in one of our processes. And some of these are images that have been worked on, and obviously these have already been transferred to the new portfolio. It's like a work in progress area. And then each month I make a new one where I carry it forward and I get rid of the old one. Because otherwise it just gets a bit messy and I don't like deleting as I go because I go, oh, I need that file back again. And when you have, I think I have 45 terabytes of images, it can be a bit much. So this is just a nice way to be able to keep on top of what's been going on recently. Now, I need to, and this is the reason I have this, I've just had a client go, can you send me some very bright, colourful images that we can use for something? And I said, yes, absolutely. So I'm just going to go through here and I can just go, look, right, I'm going to send them this one, this one I like. I do like my cocktails. What else can be sent? This can be sent. So I'm just looking for bright, vibrant images. It's nice and easy for me to do because I have everything at the touch of a finger. It's all here, ready to be sent out within this particular look of portfolio. Now I have lots of other portfolios as well. I have a disproportionate amount of portfolios. So this is like my quick, if I needed it's probably in here. I have a much more comprehensive one, which I have to crack into now and again. which is every good image I've ever taken over 15 years. It's a lot. Not that I've got a lot of good images, but it's a lot of images. Whereas this is much more focused on what I'm currently doing. But sometimes clients ask for random stuff. So I do have one of these as well. This one here has got what, 700, 600, 700 photos in it. My big one's got about, 4,000 or 5,000. It's just different. It's just different. So there's some of my portrait work in there. And you can see when I dragged those portraits of my girlfriend in where we needed some, that was just a good way to be able to, manage them all whilst I'm going through my work, whilst having an actual physical portfolio available too. That's enough for these people here. So let's go to export. And we're going to call this, and put it on desktop. It's actually for data color, which is quite fitting in this particular circumstance. And they're going to want them as WebRes, 2000 pixels, 72 DPI, make sure my name's in there. Off they go. Right, so they're being exported to be WeTransferred. And this is how there you go, you can see they've just appeared here. This is how I sort of manage this sort of work, I guess. It's a nice, easy, you just need something quickly. We come in here, we can export it, put it on the desktop. Nice and easy to do. Sometimes we'll have I don't know, we might need to go back to the raw version. So here's the raw file, here's the edit. Sometimes I do that if I think at the time of doing it, do you know what, I might need to make further adjustments to this in the future. I'll keep two versions of it. Sometimes I don't. When I just go, do you know what, this is the one, I just keep that one. Like here, we've got the graded and ungraded, but it has been photoshopped. Now, I of course still have the original file for this, which hasn't been photoshopped. So this is Photoshop pre-grade. This is Photoshop with grade. And if I need to go back there, I can go find out the date this was taken on, go into my search system and find it. I can even go into Backblaze if I'm off site and use it as a very, very slow NAS. But this I just find a very, very useful tool. If I need to get some of my older work out, some of it I only have at WebRes on here because we don't need it that often. Stuff that we don't use that often, but then the stuff which is a bit more commonly asked for, we'll have in print res here. So I think this is quite high res, is it? Oh yeah, it's quite high res. So maybe I need my picture of my crab. This is all ready to go JPEGs, full res. I can resize them to what they need to be. But from when I used to do the ooey gooey sort of trendy food photography with a 45mm lens, that's niche. What's that from? I don't know, but I do like these from the Schneider lenses. They're beautiful colours. Beautiful colours. Big European flat lays, that sort of stuff. And it's just an easy way to keep it going. And this little SSD is so small, it lives in my pocket and just travels everywhere. And each day when I come into work and I dock it into the computer, it auto backs up the work I'm doing. If a client emails me and goes, right, we need all of your work with fish, I'm like, right, here we go. 1, 2, 3 fish images, ping them off. It's nice and easy. All of your graphic, bold work of suites, right, not a problem. Now, some people would have one monstrous catalog in which they'd search within it and go put code words in and all that sort of stuff. That's great if you're that organized. I am not. These have to be realistic ways. I could go and tag all of these ones with suites in as suites, but I'm not going to. I'm pretty much a one-man band, bar a few part-time members of staff and a bunch of freelancers. It's just me here. There's not the masses. So sometimes I just got to go, right, this is the best way I can do this, the best use of my time. If I need anything more in depth than this, I'm going to have to dive into my archive, and that's a pain in the arse. But that's my current workflow. I've been shooting for, 15 years. I've got a lot of photographs. This here really is tip of the iceberg stuff. If we're looking here, we've got, 800 files. That's nothing. It really is nothing. It's very much tip of the iceberg. So being able to dive in and out quickly is great, and I thoroughly recommend that you buy them. These are the Samsung T5 SSDs. Buy a 1 terabyte one and use it as your little drive that sits in your pocket, and have it also set up on ChronoSync to auto back up the work you're doing, and then start to build your portfolio. And that's kind of how this all began. I needed to build a portfolio, so I started going through all of my catalogs and archives, exporting the photos I liked, and then I started building a brand new catalog, and then that catalog's just lived with me because I'm forever making treatments, I'm forever sending portfolios out or creating new e-cards. And having this is just absolute lifesaver. Anyway, I hope that's been of use to you, and I hope it's something you can implement. Okay, this is a bit of a bonus, and this is for people who are in a mess and currently just have photos everywhere. I want to show you a little trick. Open up whichever Lightroom, actually start a new Lightroom catalog. Let's do this together. If you've got to the point where you've just got hard drives of images and they're all over the place, you don't know which catalogs they're in, and you've gone catastrophically wrong, come in here, start a new catalog, pop it on your desktop and just call it chaos. I'm going to organize your chaos for you. Okay, you can see I was editing the video as I got to this bit and just thought, you know what, we need to add this in because this is important. So first thing we're going to do, we're not importing anything. We don't need any hard drive space here. We're going to add a folder. And all we're going to do is select a drive. Let's select drive, home drive. That's got loads in it. Okay, and we're just going to click choose. What's going to happen now, we're going to get loads of mess. We're going to come into here. We're going to highlight everything. And then if you press option and select uncheck videos, it'll unselect the videos, so it's only images coming in. And if you hit import, go to bed, wake up tomorrow morning, everything will be in this catalog to view, not stored there, just the view there. And then what you're going to want to do is go through here, highlight or 5-star all of your good raw files. Don't get the web res, get the raw ones. And we do that. If we just put one photo only in for the time being, that, if we just go for, that's a TIFF, that's a CR2, PSB. The way that we do that, and now you've got to imagine that you're going to have all of these folders here. We're just going to highlight the lot. We go to metadata, and this is in the library bit. Click on camera. And we go to, what do we want? File type. And you want to select RAW or TIFF or whatever it is you're searching for. Collect all of those files, 5-star them, then keeping all the stuff down the side highlighted, get all of them together, all of them highlighted, go File, Export as Catalog, and you're going to call this one here your portfolio catalog and export it onto that new hard drive. The files will go with it. They will stay where they currently are as well, but they'll come along with it. They'll make a copy. It will take a long time for it to actually do the process, but it'll make your life so much better. And it's sometimes you have to draw a line in the sand and start again because things have gone wrong. Hopefully this here is going to get somebody out of the woods.